Welcome to ClipNotes.
The movie!
The Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl.
The plot!
A good-looking blacksmith teams up with a kooky pirate to save a girl who was kidnapped by a bunch of undead skeleton pirates.
The characters!
Captain Jack Sparrow, an eccentric pirate captain who has lost his ship and crew to mutiny. Will Turner, a blacksmith rescued as a young child from the wreckage of a pirate ship. Elizabeth Swan, daughter of a governor who romances about pirates and adventure and romance. Captain Barbossa, the captain of the cursed pirate ship known as the Black Pearl. James Norrington, a British Royal Navy officer hell-bent on erasing pirates from the open sea. Gibbs, a superstitious seafaring drunk. Pintel, Rigetti, Cotton, Elizabeth Swan's dad. Lots of characters in there. Pirates of the Caribbean. Caramel.
Welcome to the Caribbean.
Okay! Inspired by an amusement park ride, it's really not the first time Disney tried to pull this off. At this point, they had already failed miserably with the idea of doing Tower of Terror, Country Bears, and Mission to Mars. So why not do it again? Well, if you get the director of The Ring and Mouse Hunt, toss in the writers of Aladdin and El Dorado, Shrek, and Treasure Planet, and then stuff it with that guy who is known for this long list of Tim Burton collaborations and a lot of box office bombs, well, a bunch of rich people are about to get a lot richer. The story begins with some people getting in a rail cart in some shallow water while unconvincing pirates tell them to be safe. No, wait, that's the ride.
Okay, it's movie time!
This is a perfect opening shot, setting the tone for mystery, contrast, and surprise. So young Elizabeth Swan here is all about pirates, while all these old guys take turns trying to scare her off the subject. But then the ocean takes it up a notch with, like, Umbrella, Unconscious Kid, the burning wreckage of a merchant ship.
Pirates.
Yep. They pull the kid on board and Elizabeth finds a piece of pirate's gold on him, but she doesn't tell nobody. And then out there in the fog, she sees a pirate ship. Fast forward 8 years later and she's still got that pirate gold and still isn't telling anybody. Her dad, the governor, gives her a pretty new dress so she can impress Norrington at some ceremony for his promotion. And then Will Turner, now a young blacksmith, turns up to give the governor a sword. It's pretty, it's pricey, it's perfectly crafted, and it's a gift for Commodore Norrington. Elizabeth and Will do a little bit of bad flirting choked up by 18th century propriety. Next up, quite possibly one of the best character introductions in movie history. He's cool, he's hapless, he's a pirate, and he doesn't give a crap what anybody thinks. Jack Sparrow rides a sinking boat into port and heads into town. Commodore Norrington gets his new sword and proposes to Elizabeth while Captain Jack attempts to steal a ship. But everything's put on hold when Miss Swan passes out from asphyxiation due to the new corset and Jack jumps in to save her. Right then, the pirate's gold sends out a shockwave which seems to turn the tide and kick up a nasty wind. And just as Jack takes notice of the pirate gold on the girl's neck, Norrington and his men arrest him for being a pirate. They confiscate his broken compass, his gun with a single bullet in it, and his usual pirate garb. But Jack makes his escape and the officers make chase. He makes his way down to a blacksmith shop where this old dude is passed out and he tries to undo his shackles until Will Turner comes back. They get into a sword fight and we realize that Will, by contrast of Elizabeth, actually hates pirates, has a strong sense of right, really loves practicing sword, and well, that he actually is the one who made the ceremonial sword himself. Also, Jack thinks he's a eunuch. I don't know why. Jack pulls his gun and you get the idea that him having a single bullet in his gun is a little less Barney Fife and a little more dark backstory heavy stuff. But it's no good anyway because Will manages to hold Jack long enough that his boss knocks him out and takes all the credit for catching Jack. Later that night, Jack's in a jailhouse with a cute reference to the original theme park ride while a pack of pirates try to coax a dog into bringing them the keys. So now everyone's calmed down from the day's action movie events, but that's all disrupted when a pirate ship opens fire on Port Royal. Jack says it's the Black Pearl and everyone is spooked out by this.
Bang boom, bang bang, cannonballs exploding on impact.
And the pirates of the Black Pearl come ashore. Will Turner's out trying to save people while Pintel and Rigetti kidnap Elizabeth Swan. They just wanted the gold, but she invokes parlay, which is pirate code for she wants a meeting with the captain, and pirates for some reason really stick to their code. After noticing a guy seemingly come back from the dead, Will sees them take off with Elizabeth.
Oh, this is just the most fun and comical terrorist attack caught on camera ever since,
Well, I'm just not going to finish that joke. And a couple of pirates find Jack Sparrow in his cell where they talk about having left him on a deserted island somewhere a long time ago, and wham! The moon comes out, dude man grabs Jack by the neck and his arm is all rotted and bones. Creepy. Looks like the Black Pearl really is cursed.
just like the title said.
And Jack just sees this as good information for a possible opportunity, which is just really kind of bizarre with what he just saw. Moments later, Elizabeth Swan shows up on the Black Pearl, negotiating for the safety of Port Royal. But when she takes Will's name,
Elizabeth Turner.
Captain Barbossa takes an interest in her all of a sudden. Black Pearl sets sail with the gold and Elizabeth Swann in hand. The next morning, lots of chickens. 18th century chaos always ends in chickens. Will wakes up from his head injury, fortunately with no lasting brain damage, and he goes straight to Norrington to insist that the military move to save Elizabeth immediately.
We have to hunt them down. We must save them.
I don't know, maybe a little bit of brain damage. The dang blacksmith is talking like some kind of keyed up battle elf.
Have you heard nothing Lord Elrond has said?
Chill out, Orlando. Just chill. Will is forcefully ejected from the meeting so Norrington can make his calculated plan of attack on the Black Pearl. But after hearing that Jack Sparrow knows about the Pearl, Will heads down there to chat with Jack. But Sparrow doesn't want to help him until Will again tells a pirate his last name, and Jack is suddenly ready to go and save Elizabeth Swann. Jailbreak! Next up, Jack and Will head up the hill to steal a boat in water. Then they kind of fail at stealing a bigger boat, but when Norrington sees this, he makes chase in the Interceptor, only to have Jack swap ships and take the Interceptor instead. They try to chase them, but Jack went and disabled the rudder, and that sucker just breaks down like the Excelsior chasing the Enterprise. Which is kind of funny because that's actually the Enterprise. It's the same boat from the opening scene of Generations.
Oh, that's 2 Star Trek references in one!
Moving on! Out on the open sea, 2 men alone on a big boat, time to talk about our feelings and our upbringing. Will figures out that Jack knew his father, which comes with the revelation that Will Turner the Sr. was aka Bootstrap Bill, a pirate friend of Jack's. This gets Will worked up, but Jack just drops some pirate philosophy on him and they make up. Yay! And head to Tortuga. Tortuga is an island part of Haiti with a long history of neglect, ownership swapping, and trying to include pirates in its official business, which resulted in so much unchecked pirate activity that it's quite possible this Disney ride wasn't too far off. But in the movies, it's basically just a breeding ground for scallywags. Anyway, they find Gibbs, who is now a dirty, stinking pirate, still superstitious and still in the same clothes.
It's been 8 years, Gibbs. Time to let it go.
Later on at the tavern, Jack gets Gibbs on board with the Black Pearl chase, again because he mentions the magic name Will Turner. Meanwhile, on the Black Pearl, Pintel informs Elizabeth she's to dine with Captain Barbossa, a scene which just quickly turns into mastication pornography. I guess 2003 was just a good year for sexy cinematic eating. Barbossa tells Elizabeth all about how they stole some cursed Aztec gold and spent it all on the usual debaucherous fare. Soon they lost the ability to feel and to taste, and they can't get it back till they return all the gold with the blood of the thieves who took it. Oh, and they are also all skeleton people, which you can only really see them looking that way in the moonlight. There's this little poop deck chase scene, and just based on the previous sword fight scene taking place in some rafters and this little trampoline bit, I've decided that gravity was at least 40% lower in the 1800s. The next day, I guess, Jack has assembled his crew of miscreants, and it's 2003, so I can't make a Star Trek reference here with Zoe Saldana. Crazy storm sailing time. Jack keeps an eye on his broken compass and still seems quite confident that he'll catch up with Barbossa at Isla de Muerta. And the pirates take Miss Swann into the cave, and just as Jack arrives in the Interceptor and Gibbs tells Will about...
That was before I'd met him, back when he was captain of the Black Pearl.
There be a lot of storytelling in this movie here, there be. So it turns out Jack used to be the captain of the Black Pearl and Barbossa was his first mate. They were searching for Cortez's treasure hoard, but there was a mutiny and Jack was left marooned on an island with not but a gun and a single bullet for suiciding. But Jack mysteriously escaped the island and he's saving his bullet for Barbossa. We all caught up now? Okay, yeah, thanks Gibbs. So the bad guy pirates are dumping their treasure in the, what I'm gonna call the Cueva de Muerta. Rigetti and Pintel share a heartfelt moment talking about their future lives when the curse is lifted. They're so cute together. Will and Jack plan their attack as Barbossa holds some kind of buccaneer church session before... But no wait, kabam! Head injury, Jack's knocked out, hopefully without any lasting brain damage. And Barbossa returns the gold to the chest, but it doesn't seem to work because they need Will Turner's blood, not this girl's blood. The pirates get pretty upset about the whole thing, and amidst their distraction, Will takes Elizabeth and the medallion out of the cave. I mean Cueva. Rigetti and Pintel capture Jack, who invokes Parley, and Elizabeth reunites with Gibbs on the Interceptor. And Will's just like, Jack fell behind, keep to the code. I mean, just leaves Jack on an island at the mercy of an undead crew. Between Jack's heroic rescue of Elizabeth and Will's shitty abandonment here, Will's got more pirate in him than Jack does, which is kind of just the problem with righteous indignation. While Jack Sparrow may kill when he has to, Will Turner only kills when he thinks he has the moral right to do it.
I practice 3 hours a day so that when I meet a pirate, I can kill it.
That's why no one likes you, Orlando.
So Jack meets with Barbossa, who immediately orders his death, but Jack's got a bargaining chip. Meanwhile, the two most uninteresting people in the movie are finally realizing their love for one another, but that's interrupted by realizing that Will is the son of a pirate. There's a little romance with Elizabeth commenting on how rough Will's blacksmith hands are. No, Orlando Bloom, your hands are not rough. Look at this kid, he's supposed to be a hardened blacksmith and a pirate prodigy when his purty little face just looks like whipped cream. As the Black Pearl gains on the Interceptor, big, tall, always angry guy puts Jack in the brig. I love this guy's overacting. On screen with Jeffrey Rush. Rush. Rush and Johnny Depp, and he's all...
Aye, sir.
And oh my god, the score here, the cuts, it's freaking beautiful. You almost want to forgive the fact that a ship full of lifetime seafaring pirates is taking all their cues from a blacksmith and this little rich girl. Yep. Totally forgiven. And after firing cannons full of anything they could find on their ship, Will gets trapped, Jack gets free, and the monkey returns the medallion to Barbossa. Everyone is captured, including Elizabeth, who Barbossa sentences to, well, what would have been happening this whole time if this wasn't a Disney movie? I mean, not even because it's a Disney movie. No one would want to watch this movie if they treated this situation realistically. But Will shows up and tells them all that he's the son of Bootstrap Bill, much to Jack's dismay. Now, I'm gonna try and ignore what that rag must taste like, and I'm gonna ignore Barbossa saying,
It's still warm.
but I cannot ignore this performance.
Too long!
Wonderful delivery. So Jack and Elizabeth are left on the same island Jack was marooned on 10 years ago, where it is revealed that Jack only escaped by way of rum runners who once frequented that island, but are out of service now, leaving behind tons of rum. So that night, Elizabeth teaches Jack a song that I guess she learned on a Disney ride somewhere. And gets him all seduced and drunk just so she could burn all the island rum as a signal to the doubtless many ships sent forth by her governor father. And it works. Norrington and Governor Dad save him, but they refuse to go after Will and the Pearl, until Elizabeth promises to marry Norrington if they do. Well, whoop-de-freaking-do! Down in the brig of the Black Pearl, Pintel does tell Will Turner about his father Bootstrap Bill, who wasn't happy with the mutiny against Jack, so he sent off a piece of the cursed gold to his son, and they dumped him in the ocean. Is everybody caught up? Yeah, thanks, Pintel. So now Norrington and his military men of the HMS Dauntless have arrived back on the Ile de Muerto with Jack, who, man oh man, there is more island hopping in this story than there is in Wind Waker. Jack convinces Norrington to lock up Elizabeth Swann for her safety and to let Jack go free to lure the pirates out for an ambush. But Jack starts up with the double crosses. He convinces Barbossa to use their magical skill abilities to ambush the Dauntless and then lift the curse. Sounds good. But Jack swipes a piece of gold and gives Will a knowing look. Looks like the old double cross again. So Barbossa and his pirates head out to go
Take a walk.
and the bosun, oh, bosun, you silly. And then skeleton pirates go marching in, because that is the coolest thing I've seen since Jason and the Argonauts. Yeah, get him! And Pintel and Rigetti are just the cutest on-screen couple since Bleakley and Jumba. Yeah, get him! Skeletons attack the boat, Elizabeth escapes, somehow managing to steal a dinghy. While Jack and Barbossa break into a sword fight, freeing Will Turner and battling it out with a handful of zombie pirates. Elizabeth boards the Black Pearl, sends the monkey overboard, and tries to free her friends. Everybody's fighting, and then Jack just, for real, man, you get just like a second of this, but this should have been the entire movie. No, wait, I had the wrong movie. This is the coolest thing I've seen since Army of Darkness. Yeah, get him! Anyway, fighting, battling, ships stealing, Jack finally fires a single bullet just as Will drops the gold into the case, lifting the curse and leaving Barbossa mortally wounded. Just a little bit sticky because Jack shoots Barbossa and then Will drops the gold, thereby breaking the curse so that Barbossa can die. I get that it works for the effect, but it's a really unnecessary blemish on an almost perfect scene where Barbossa regains the ability to feel just in time to feel himself die. And then, just for effect, this apple comes out of freaking nowhere. You know, it really isn't the lack of realism that makes a summertime action film hard to take seriously, it's the lack of continuity. But really, when the pirates realize the curse has been lifted and some of them die right on the spot, it's almost saddening. So Norrington's men get the upper hand, Gibbs and Zoe Saldana escape with the Black Pearl, leaving Jack in the hands of the British government. So Jack is sentenced to death by hanging, but Will sets him free. Yay! And Elizabeth confesses her love to him as a result. Yay again, huh? Somehow this gets Norrington right in the sweet spot, and Will is let off the hook for like the third time. Guess Norrington's not such a bad guy. He did say this bit about,
I serve others, Mr. Sparrow, not only myself.
which seems to play into his reasoning with letting Will and Elizabeth be together when he could just arrest him and marry her. But that still doesn't explain why he lets Jack escape after all he went through to catch him, but whatever. So, Norrington gives up Elizabeth, pointing out that the small sword Will created for him was made with care, and he should treat Elizabeth the same exact way. With care, not with smelting or hammering. Well, some hammering. Whoa now! Jack is hoisted onto the Black Pearl and is made captain of his favorite, no longer cursed pirate ship. The end. No, I mean almost the end, but post-credits scene, monkey grabs the gold again. This movie was assumed to be a disaster on its way through the camera. It was based on a theme park ride. Higher-ups got nervous about Johnny Depp's weird performance to the point where they wrote in their explanation of his character choices, but somehow it worked. See, Johnny Depp, thinking of pirates as 18th century rock stars, based his character on Keith Richards. And also, also just some lingering wobbles from him playing Hunter S. Thompson. And that's all good, because it was also written as a new original concept, and Disney just attached the Caribbean name for some recognition. And I doubt that was still enough to save the movie from Haunted Mansion obscurity. The real saving grace of the film is a couple of dedicated actors really making the lovable villain thing work. In the end, Gore Verbinski's direction gave it an almost unique tone, except for the Bruckheimer-Zimmer mixtape aspect. It jump-started a film franchise, but it didn't jump-start the pirate craze of the old days, which is probably a good thing. I mean, they were basically terrorists of the 17 and 1800s. You think in 100 years they'll have movies where radical fanatics are the good guys and the uncool military element just gets in the way of their wacky international terroristic adventures? I guess dating back to the Peter Pan days, we all wish we could be free to do as we please, like the pirates do. The open sea was like space travel before we landed on the moon. Can you imagine if all you needed was a bunch of buoyant wood and some willing mates, and you could have a place to live? Never see the same sight twice and go wherever you want, whenever you want? That's not only a freedom reserved for mythical pirates, it's a freedom reserved to history now. Well, thanks for watching ClipNotes summary of Pirates of the Caribbean: The Black Pearl. Time to get a crackin' on the sequel. Get it? Crackin'? Ha 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 ha. Oh, well, now I want to hear some more pirate puns. Anybody who's got a pirate pun, do it. Leave it in the comments right now. And when you're done, don't forget to subscribe to Jabberwatchy.